Chapter 45. Lana and Adelmo brandish their swords, their movements fluid and precise as they join forces with Samara to fend off the relentless horde of zombies. The air is thick with tension as the trio fights for their lives, their every swing and strike a desperate attempt to clear a path to safety. Amidst the chaos, Samara's voice cuts through the cacophony, filled with frustration and fear. What in the world were you thinking? This is the worst possible time for this, she exclaims, her words laced with exasperation. The urgency of their situation is palpable, and Samara's anger is a reflection of the dire circumstances they find themselves in. Adelmo, his focus unwavering even as he dispatches one zombie after another, responds to Samara's outburst with a mix of remorse and determination. "I apologize, I truly didn't anticipate this," he admits, his voice strained with the effort of battling the undead. However, in the midst of the chaos, Adelmo's mind races, searching for a solution. Realizing the imminent danger of being overwhelmed, he quickly formulates a plan. "We're running out of space," he warns, his voice urgent. "We need to find an escape route before we're completely overrun by these relentless creatures." The gravity of their predicament hangs heavy in the air as Adelmo's words echo through the chaos, urging his companions to act swiftly and decisively. Adelmo's hands trembled as he raised his weapon, ready to unleash his fury upon the towering pile of lifeless bodies. The grotesque sight before him sent shivers down his spine, but he knew that their survival depended on his relentless assault. With each swing, the sickening sound of flesh being torn apart filled the air, as if the very essence of their nightmare was being ripped apart. Adelmo's determination fueled his every strike, his muscles straining against the weight of the bodies as he desperately tried to diminish the towering obstacle that trapped them. As Adelmo's relentless onslaught continued, the pile of corpses gradually began to dwindle. The once imposing wall of death slowly crumbled under the force of his blows, creating a path through which they could escape. With every body that fell, Adelmo's hope surged, driving him to push harder and faster. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, his heart pounding in his chest as he fought against the suffocating stench of decay. The bodies crashed to the ground, their lifeless forms tumbling over one another, creating a macabre path to freedom. "This way," Adelmo's voice echoed through the air, a desperate plea for his companions to follow him. With a renewed sense of urgency, they hurriedly made their way towards the front gate, their eyes widening in horror as they beheld the true extent of the undead horde that awaited them. The sheer number of zombies stretched out before them like a sea of rotting flesh, their vacant eyes and gnashing teeth a haunting reminder of the peril they faced. Adelmo's voice trembled with a mix of fear and determination as he spoke, acknowledging the daunting task that lay ahead. They were outnumbered, but their will to survive burned brighter than ever before. Samara's heart raced as she realized the dwindling daylight. The sun was sinking below the horizon, casting long shadows that seemed to stretch and reach out towards them. With a sense of urgency, she raised her sword and gestured towards the setting sun, warning the others of the impending darkness. "Look at the sun, it's going down. We don't have much daylight left," she exclaimed, her voice tinged with fear. The group knew that if they didn't make it to the night, they would be doomed. As the group formed a triangle formation, the tension in the air was palpable. Adelmo stood at the peak, his eyes scanning the approaching crowd of zombies. Lana positioned herself to the right of him, her grip on her blade tight and determined. Samara took her place on the left side, her eyes fixed on the encroaching darkness. Together, they raised their weapons in unison, ready to face whatever horrors the night would bring. The sound of shuffling footsteps grew louder as the zombies drew nearer, their hungry moans filling the air. With a swift and practiced motion, the trio began to swing their swords, cutting through the undead with precision and skill. Adelmo deftly switched the position of his sword, adjusting his stance to meet the onslaught of enemies. The clang of metal against decaying flesh echoed through the night as they fought for their lives. Each swing brought them closer to safety, But the darkness continued to creep closer, threatening to engulf them. As they stood their ground, the last rays of daylight fading away, they knew that the battle was far from over. Adelmo's heart raced as he found himself surrounded by 5 menacing figures. Their eyes bore into his soul, sending shivers down his spine. Without warning, they lunged towards him, their intentions clear. Adelmo's instincts kicked in, and he swiftly wielded his sword, its gleaming blade slicing through the air. With a powerful swing from the lower right to the upper left, he unleashed a torrent of deadly force. The sword connected with a resounding impact, cutting through the air with a chilling precision. Adelmo's target was the abdominal region of his assailants, and as the blade found its mark, crimson blood erupted, splattering the surroundings in a grotesque display. The bodies of his enemies dropped to the ground, lifeless with no warmth from the sunlight. Adelmo's heart pounded in his chest, a mix of adrenaline and triumph coursing through his veins. As Adelmo caught his breath, his attention was drawn to a commotion in the distance. His eyes widened as he witnessed a group of people, numbering in the dozens, engaged in a fierce battle against the undead. But there was something peculiar about them. Adelmo could sense an otherworldly aura emanating from their very beings. It was then that he realized they were not ordinary humans, but rather shapeshifters who would transform into fearsome werewolves under the cover of night. The crowd of zombies began to dwindle as the group of werewolves unleashed their fury upon them. Adelmo watched in awe as the werewolves tore through the undead with their bare hands, their primal instincts guiding their every move. It was a sight both terrifying and mesmerizing. Meanwhile, Lana and Samara, moving in unison with each other, moving with an uncanny synchronicity, dispatching the zombies with calculated precision. Each swing of their claws and fangs mirrored the others, as if they were connected by an invisible thread. The air was filled with the sickening sound of bones breaking and flesh tearing as the werewolves tore through their enemies. Blood sprayed in all directions, painting the ground in a macabre tapestry. Adelmo couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and dread as he witnessed the sheer power and coordination of the werewolves, their ferocity unmatched. As the last of the zombies fell, the battlefield was left in a state of eerie silence. Adelmo stood amidst the carnage, his eyes fixed on